What's going on, everyone? John Matrix here with a Hunt Showdown video for you guys. Yesterday, the devs did kind of a blog post stream talking about a lot of the content that they're working on and upcoming features and some balance changes they're going to be putting into the game. So I just kind of wanted to go over that, break it down a little bit, and give some of my opinions on some of the stuff. So we'll just go ahead and get on in it here. So the first thing they mention is that the next big update they're shooting for is version 3.0. The next update they're going to be putting out is version 2.5, so it sounds like 3.0 is still several weeks, maybe even potentially a couple months down the line. But 3.0 is where they're going to be adding a bunch of logistical things to their back-end stuff. They still are working on, I guess, some of the details on what is going to be in 3.0, but they mention some engine update changes, some mechanical changes, and some other things like that. So we could be looking at maybe the first iteration of a crafting system that's going to be going into the game, maybe a cosmetic system, who knows. So we'll have to wait and see what they talk about in the future with that. But they did mention some other things that are going to be coming into the game beforehand. Some of the stuff they talk about in this might not be coming until 3.0, or they might be coming in patches in between now and when 3.0 comes out. So let's just get into some of the stuff that they're talking about here. So one of the big topics that they bring up is frustration of death. And it sounds like they're really looking to add some mechanics or change some gameplay elements to help new people get into the game, but also to retain those new people who are getting into the game, to keep the population of Hunt Showdown growing and make sure that new people have an enjoyable experience and want to keep playing the game. So to that end, one of the things they're going to be doing is in the recruiting system where you recruit a new hunter, they're always going to have a free tier 1 hunter with randomized gear. And it sounds like this is going to be available for anyone of any levels. So if you're at a stage where you've just lost all your money, then you get a free tier 1 hunter all the time, and you just keep using whatever gear that they come with. And so essentially, if you keep dying and you're not really gaining any money, technically, as long as you're using that tier 1 hunter and you're not buying any new gear or customizing him with any new gear, you're not really losing any money. So in general, I think this is a pretty good idea and system to add in the game for newer players specifically. For people who are higher ranked, this really I don't think is going to affect them that much at all, but for people who are dying consistently and losing money and getting frustrated with the game, this kind of gives them a way to basically get used to the game, get used to the mechanics of the game, get familiar with the map, and try out some of the various weapons and gear that they might be getting on a tier 1 hunter with really relatively little consequences. So in general, I think this is a good idea to add to the game. I don't really see it affecting the game in a negative way that much. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty good idea in general. Along with that, they're also adding a contraband system into the game. So basically, this tier 1 hunter, to my understanding, this tier 1 hunter that you're getting, any of the gear that he comes starting with is considered contraband, meaning that you can't just sit there and recruit a tier 1 hunter, sell his gear, go into a game, kill him, and rinse and repeat, and that way you make money doing that. So any kind of gear, any kind of starting stuff that the tier 1 hunter comes with, that's considered contraband, so you can't sell that. However, any gear that you add to him, because you can still customize and give him whatever gear that you want to. You can buy vit shots or med kits if he doesn't come with that, or if you just want the hunter for free because you don't necessarily care about any of the other recruits you have, or whatever reason you just want to get the free hunter and then you can outfit him however you want to, you can do that as well. But any of the starting gear he comes with is considered contraband, so you won't be able to sell that. And there's going to be some more mechanics that I'm going to talk about concerning that contraband system here a little bit later too. One of the other systems they're going to be adding into the game, and this is specifically for newer people, is what's called a trainee mode. Basically what they're doing is the first 15 levels on the bloodline are set up so that you don't lose your hunter or your gear if you die. So if you're level 1, between level 1 and 15, you get into the game, you want to try it out, there's relatively little consequences. You can get your hunters, you can get whatever gear you have that's unlocked at the time to try out. The first 15 levels, you're not really going to unlock much of anything. So there's not really going to be a whole lot of new stuff to try, other than maybe if you get lucky and you get, an early level recruit who has the sparks or something like that, then, if you lose that hunter, you won't lose his gear. But yeah, so for the first 15 levels on the Bloodline, essentially you get to play the game without any death penalty. You won't lose your hunter if you die in the game, and you won't lose any of the gear if you die in the game. So again, this is a system that really isn't going to affect anyone who's been playing the game for a long time, or any of the high tier level players. So again, I don't really see a negative impact to this. It's just something that's going to allow newer people to, again, try out the game, get used to the game, get used to the systems in the game with basically no consequence, so they don't get frustrated and just quit. One of the other systems they're going to be adding into the game, and this is something they don't really get into a lot of detail about because it's still something they're working on, is they want to add an accolade system. Basically, at the end of the game, where it goes through all the little things that you've done, you've killed the boss, and you've got all the clues and etc., all the little accolade cards up there. They want to add a system in the game where if you're consistently dying and being punished, maybe you'll get a reward for it. Maybe you'll get a little bit extra money. If you've played 5 games in a row and you've died all 5 games without getting any money or experience or anything like that, they're going to give you a little bit of cash to help you out, so the game's not so punishing. As far as that goes, I'm not really sure. Again, the people that are higher levels in the game, I don't really think that's going to affect them that much, because if you're already higher levels, you're used to the game and you're used to the systems and the mechanics, and you probably already have a good amount of money stocked up, so really if you die, it's not that big a deal. So I don't really see how that's going to negatively impact anyone at higher levels in the game. But again, it's something for newer people who are trying to get used to the game. They can get a little bit of a benefit, a little bit of a bonus. So I don't really see a negative impact on that at the moment. So the next thing I talk about, and this is a pretty big change, they have a new mode in that's called Quick Play currently. This isn't what the final name of this mode is going to be, but this, from what that sounds like they're talking about, is the mode that's going to replace the current solo mode, or it's what the solo mode is going to evolve into. And this has a very interesting sounding system to it. So it kind of sounds like their version of a battle royale mode almost. They're going to have to, I guess, we'll have to see what more of this mode's going to be like when they talk about more details later on. But essentially, what it looks like is you pick this mode, and it's a solo only mode. You go in by yourself, and it has almost like a class-based systems in it, where you're gonna get a free hunter when you start off. Okay, so you go in there, you don't pick a recruit. This is just the hunter that you get for this is a fresh hunter, like you've just got a new recruit. So you're gonna get a free hunter with this mode, and then also in this mode, the gear that you get with the hunter is going to be free, but you select like a class kind of based system. So basically, there's like a rifle mode, a shotgun mode, or a close range mode, and then like maybe a melee based mode, I think they're talking about. But essentially, what you get in with is considered low level gear. So whatever that means to them, they haven't specified yet. I'm assuming like if you go in with a rifle, or you pick the range mode or whatever it's called, that you're gonna get like maybe a Winfield. I think he even mentioned that you might only just come in with like a pistol or something like that. But basically, you get a randomized set of gear based on whatever kind of class outfit you want to have. And apparently, they're going to have an outfit like a cosmetic outfit customization mode in this, so you can pick what your character wants to look like with this hunter. And then there's also going to be weapons on the map that you can pick up and get to use. So whatever that means, they haven't really elaborated on that. I would assume that means, like you might find a Sparks randomly sitting out in the field or out in the map, or you might find a Winfield or a Carbiner or a Dolch or whatever weapons are in the game. They might just be randomly out in the map. So again, that's why I said this kind of sounds like a battle royale mode. So you're going to come in with a certain kind of starting gear, and this hunter's going to be free, and that starting gear is going to be free, and you're going to find gear on the map that you can loot. And if any of the gear that you find out there is considered contraband gear. So like if you go in and you find any and you just like looting gear and you're leaving, you can't, and you extract, you can't just like sell that gear and make money off of it. So you can't just like go in, find, get lucky, find an automat and leave and then sell it and make money. You can't do that. However, if you go through the entire game and play it right and you win, I guess you kill everyone in there or whatever the objective is. If it's going to have a boss mode that you kill, which I assume it is, and you need to extract the bounty like normal. If you do that, you get to keep the hunter and all that gear, and you can use that hunter and the gear in the normal Hunt Showdown gameplay mode. So, yeah, it sounds like an interesting idea. Along with this, they're going to have a weapon looting system because you're going to be able to find loot out in the map. They're also allowing you to pick up gear from other players that you've killed, and this is going to go into the normal Hunt Showdown mode as well. So it sounds like what they're doing is it's not going to have like a Tarkov's kind of system where you're going to have like an inventory and things that you can just stash into it. What it sounds like they're going to have for this iteration is that it's going to like swap your weapon out. So let's say you go in with the Winfield and you kill someone who has a better weapon with you. They've got a Mosin or Sparks or an automat or whatever, and you obviously want to pick that up because it's better than your Winfield. You then drop your Winfield and you pick up whatever weapon they had. And so they also someone had asked a question on the stream and about let's say you kill someone, you pick up their weapon, and then their teammate comes and revives them. Then they have the weapon that you swapped out of. So they will then have, whatever weapon you dropped. So it's currently just a weapon swapping system. It's not really like a Tarkov kind of looting system in the game where you just have an inventory and you find things and you can put it in your inventory and then leave and you have that. But it's going to add some more gameplay mechanics to it. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. They also seem to mention like a potentially different extraction method. Like you might not be able to just go in, get whatever, and just extract whenever you want to. There might be a specific time limit before you have to extract, or there might be specific objectives that you have to accomplish before you can potentially extract, even though you may not have beaten the overall goal of whatever this mode is. So I've got a little clip here from the stream where they kind of explain it a little bit more, so I'm just going to let that play along with this.
As you can see here, you can choose then, for example, quick or classic mode. You can choose the outfit you wear in the mode, so that's going to be your personal chance.
Yes. So in a way, what this does is, as I mentioned, like you press the play button, you get the choice between these two different modes. You can always see like some of the details of what that mode is going to be, and basically as such, we give the winner the chance to keep the hunter from that mission. So it's yet another way of getting access to a free hunter, and there is something very, very specific to this, which also has been a very, very big request from the community.
Yeah.
And that is that alongside that change, we introduce the ability to loot weapons.
Yes.
Now, what does that mean in practice? Because we don't really want people to go now farm for aftermaths, because you make more money than from a mission objective. Henceforth, no one is going for the mission objective. So we're going to use the same concept of contraband weapons we just talked about at the very beginning. Synergy of features, isn't that awesome? And basically, if you are extracting from a classic mode mission, by having maybe picked up, let's say, an aftermath from another player, you can keep that aftermath. You left your own weapon behind for that, so there's already a price on it. And you can use them. You can just remove them if you're just cluttering your inventory if you want to, but you cannot sell them for money. So again, using the same contraband system, you have a way of kind of improving your gear. Now, when you go into quick play, there's something else in there. And that is that quick play will start you with very, very low gear.
Yeah.
And you can actually find weapons also spawned into the world alongside getting them from dead players. Now, that makes quick play very differently from classic mode. And that is, as intended, it gives you a different way of experiencing hunt.
Exactly.
Now, this basically keeps the formula we have, makes them a nice little mix, makes it a bit of like a lunch break type of experience. You can just jump in, play a little bit. And it also has a synergy with the main mode in terms of that if you are the winner and you have accumulated certain gear, you can keep the hunter, and the weapons on that hunter are not contraband. They are the real deal.
So the next topic they bring up is dealing with AD spam, which is basically just spamming left and right strafing, you know. So it makes the battles kind of feel a little bit more RNG, a little less skill-based, because people are just literally strafing left and right, you know, back and forth, and you have to kind of really time your shots as opposed to, you know, more of a skill-based shot, you know. So they talk about some limitations on why it's taking a little bit, you know, longer to get that fixed. And I cut a clip of them going over it, and so you guys can see exactly what they're working toward and what they're trying to accomplish, and why it's taking them, you know, as long as it is to accomplish it.
Yeah, because obviously you can see it now. It still looks a little bit weird. It's just very short videos where it just repeats. But to get an idea, left is obviously what we have currently.
Yeah. So,
right is more how it would be after.
Yeah. So basically, both of those captures are doing the same thing. People are trying to zigzag.
Yeah.
So on the left side, you see what happens on the server. If you do that, you can kind of like make yourself a pretty hard target. Now, on the right side, trying to spam the buttons in the same way, you can see there's a bit of normalization happening because there's inertia part of it. There's a bit of like momentum, and that helps to counter and standardize and normalize this. Again, this might look pretty nice already, but the problem right now is internally, while we're still working on this, it feels a bit too sluggish from what we see in first person. So we need to make sure this is resolved first, that the experience feels good, but it avoids this being exploitable the way it is at the moment. Mm-hmm. But it's important that you guys see a little bit of what we're working on. So we are actively trying to solve it.
Exactly. As you can see, it still looks a little bit awkward, but it is to show you guys that we are actively working on it. We know that you guys want it. It's just... obviously, everything that we have to do takes time, and like working on new stuff, working on things that have to be fixed. So this is the start, guys. We are doing our best to fix all the issues.
The challenge for us is to make sure we improve the situation without making the thing feel clunky, because that's not what we want to do. So again, bear with us a little bit.
So the last thing I'm going to go over that they had in the video is what's coming in the next patch, patch 2.5. And this sounds like it's really just going to be mostly balance changes to some of the weapons. Doesn't really sound like there's going to be any new content. There might be some bug fixes, but this is mostly going to be a balance change patch. So I'm going to go over what they're doing to balance out some of the weapons, give you some of my opinions on what they're doing, and some ideas that I personally have that I think would be better ways to balance out some of the weapons that they're talking about. So the first thing they kind of go over here is what weapons are used most often. And they show, firstly, a shot of what is used overall at all levels, and then they go over what is used at higher levels. And so as you can see here at the overall usage, what is used at all ranks, the Winfield C is pretty much the most used weapon, and in general the Winfield variants are the most used weapons, and that's understandable. They're the cheapest weapons, and they're the weapons that get unlocked earliest, so for the most part those are the ones that get used most. However, then you see the uppercut and the Dulch are the most used pistols. Pretty much they're like the only real pistols that get used in the game later on at higher levels. The machete is very high use. It is honestly the best melee weapon in the game, and it's just one of the better tools in the game. It's very cheap. It's very cost effective for killing, you know, zombies. Kill zombies in one hit. It's great for killing armors. It's just a great overall weapon and item, so it gets used a lot. And then they go into the Crown and King Auto 5, the Optimat, sniper rifles in general, silence weapons and crossbows. All of those in general at all ranks only get bought about 1% of the time. However, that data changes when they get into the higher ranks, and I'm going to show you what their percentages are at the higher ranks here now. So as you can see at the higher ranks, which they've deemed basically rank 67 up to 100 is what they're considering higher ranks here. The Dulch gets used about 10% of the time, and the uppercut gets used about 10% of the time. And again, as I said, at higher ranks, for people that have the money, those are the only two pistols that are really worth taking. I mean, you think about it, you know, right now currently it's shotgun meta, so people are using, you know, shotguns a lot, the Crown and Kings or the double barrel. So you want to have a good sidearm that can take down people at range, and the Dulch and the uppercut are the best choices. You have the money to spend on them, so you might as well spend the money on them. The uppercut has, great stopping power, and the Dulch has good damage while also having spam ability. There's really no reason to use any other pistols other than maybe, if you want to use the chain pistol with fanning, you can use that as well. They don't really show the percentage of that. I'd be kind of interested on how often that's bought later on at higher ranks for people that have fanning. But in general, the Dulch and the uppercut are the pistols that get used at higher ranks. Interestingly enough, for rank 100s only, I don't know if that includes prestiges, but basically at rank 100, most people are using the uppercut. So it's interesting that gets used more than the Dulch. So and then they go into the Crown and King, the Auto 5. That gets bought about 2.5% of the time from rank 67 to 100. More so at rank 100. So it's looking like the new reward system they had for people at level 100 for getting more money. They're spending that on the Crown and King. Optimat is only bought about 3.5% of the time at rank 67 to 100. And the Machete still has a pretty high percentage bot rate at 6%. Again, that's just a great cost-effective tool to be used at any ranks. So, price changes. This is the first kind of real thing they're getting into with talking about balancing. Crossbows across the board are getting cheaper because they want people to use crossbows more. The crossbows aren't being used very much. And it's understandable because in the shotgun meta, where the range of the crossbows are usable, a shotgun is usable as well anyway, so you might as well use a shotgun because a shotgun's going to be more effective. Causes bleed, causes higher damage, and it's cheaper. You can get the double barrel shotgun for like 60 some odd dollars, whereas the bigger crossbow is 180. It's going to be $180, so it's still expensive. And in order to really utilize crossbows, if you think about it, you really need the reload trait, so you can reload faster. So not only are crossbows more expensive, and the range at which they can really be utilized the most is the same ranges that shotguns be used. I mean, crossbows can be used a little bit longer range of shotgun, but still, and at the effective range, you're still, shotgun is still the better choice, or a Dulch or a hand cannon, the uppercut. I don't know, said hand cannon, but basically, there's just kind of not really, a reason to use a crossbow. It's kind of a niche thing. It's if you like the crossbow, use it. But it still requires a perk, and you need that reload perk to really use it most effectively. And then I guess technically you could get the perk to see the bolts as well, so you can re-loot them. But yeah, so they're making crossbows cheaper across the board. Hand crossbows, the poison hand crossbow, the regular crossbow, the explosive crossbow, and the shotgun bolt crossbow, whatever. The saber, they're reducing the price, or they're actually not reducing the price, they're increasing the price. It's going from $22 to $69, so they're going to buff the damage of the saber. That's why the price change is going to be. The officer carbine, which is basically kind of like the complement to the Winfield. It's the pistol that's been converted into a rifle. That's going down from $86 to $35, and I think that's a good change. There's really not a need for it to be that expensive when compared to the Winfield. And kind of the only reason you'd really want this other than the Winfield is, it might have a better sight. Some people might enjoy the sight that this officer carbine has in comparison to the Winfield. The regular Winfield compact, those are the two that are basically comparable to each other. And then they're dropping the price of the Optimat from $1,800 to $1,500. And there's going to be another screenshot here that I'm going to go into that's going to show you why they're doing that. So this is the kind of overall real balance changes they're adding to the game right now. And they're based on essentially limiting the ammo pool that the weapons are going to have that you're coming in with, or at least decreasing them. And in my opinion, for the type of game this is, I don't really think that's a good idea, because this isn't just a PvP game, it's a PvP/PvE game. There's zombie AI out there that you need to kill, and in a situation like you see here with the Optimat and the Dulch, where basically you're only going to have like one clip's worth of ammo that you're coming in with, you can't really use those to kill any of the zombies or any AI out there. You're forced to basically save these weapons and this ammo type for killing other players. And I think their idea behind this too is they're trying to force you to pull together weapons of the same ammo type in order to have, you know, backup ammo for these specific weapons for the Dolch and the Optimat. So like for the Dolch, they're going to want you to come in with the Vertelli, you know, carbiner as well as the Dolch in order to have enough ammo to use the Dolch. And with the Optimat, it's looking like they're wanting, you know, you to pair it up with an uppercut so that you have, you know, the extra ammo pool with the long ammo. So when looking at this, I really don't think the Crown and King is going to be affected by this too much. I don't think the uppercut or the Vertelli carbiner is really going to be affected by this too much by lowering those overall ammo pools, but the Dolch and the Optimat will. And so what are ways that you could look at balancing these weapons out other than just reducing the overall ammo pools that you can come in with? So this is my opinion, and this is specifically for a Dolch, but this could also be applied to the Optimat. My idea of looking at balancing out these two weapons, but specifically the Dolch itself, is that you kind of have to look at, you know, both its strengths and its weaknesses. So what are the strengths of the Dolch? Well, the Dolch uses medium ammo, so it already has, you know, a better ammo type than the majority of other pistols, other than the uppercut. The uppercut uses long ammo, but the Dolch uses medium ammo. Pretty much every other pistol just uses compact ammo. So the Dolch already has ammo that does more damage. Basically, the Dolch can kill in anywhere from 1 to 3 shots, depending on range and where you hit them at. So you have that. And then it's got a clip size of 10, which is one of the larger clip sizes of any of the weapons in the game. And then on top of that high clip size, it also has a high rate of fire. So you have a weapon that does good, you know, decent to high damage. It's got a high clip size, and it's got a high fire rate, so it's spammable. So that makes the weapon really strong when you compare that against other weapons out there. You know, if you're in a fight with a Dolch and someone else has a Winfield, the Dolch is going to win the majority of the time just because it does more damage and it's got a higher rate of fire. And you can kind of compare the Dolch to that with any other weapon in the game. So with that being said, then what can you do to add some more weaknesses to the gun to bring it more in line? Well, in my opinion, first of all, one of the things that you could do is reduce the overall clip size. You know, like I said, it's got 10 rounds in it. That's quite a bit. So why don't you bring that in line with some of the other pistols that only really have about 6 shots? So maybe reduce the clip size of the Dolch, bring that down to 7 to maybe 5 rounds a clip. So that's one of the things that you can do. And then on top of that, you know, increase the reload animation, in my opinion, would also be a way of balancing out. Make it take longer to have to reload. You know, currently, you know, with the Dolch, if you use the entire clip, all 10 rounds, I think it's got like a little stripper clip that you just go in there and it reloads really quick. So get rid of that and just make it so that you have to reload each bullet one at a time, and maybe just slow down that animation a little bit more to make it longer to reload. So, you know, if you do those two things, you reduce the clip size and you increase the animation of the reload, what does that do? Well, it makes it so that, you know, you haven't touched the rate of fire, you haven't touched the damage. So in the ranges where the weapon's supposed to be good at, which is close to medium range, it's not made to be, you know, a long range weapon, although they have a precision variant that can be used better at longer ranges because it's more accurate. But anyway, at the ranges that the Dolch is really meant to be used, it still can be used. You know, you can still spam those 5 to 7 shots really quickly to kill someone if you need to. But you also then make it so that you have to really make your shots count. You know, so if, you know, you spam those 5 to 7 shots, whatever you want to reduce the clip size down to, I think 5 is probably more reasonable with, you know, how this game is. But anyway, you reduce that clip size, you've run out of ammo, now you're reloading. That gives the enemy team a better chance of pushing up on you. They can throw a grenade to take you out of cover, because while you're reloading, obviously you're going to be covered. You're not just going to stand out in the middle of the open. So they're going to try to get you out of cover. That makes you vulnerable. So you're going to have to switch to your other weapon to try to fire back, etc., etc. It puts pressure on you. Whereas right now, if with 10 rounds in the clip, you don't really have to worry about spamming as much. You can spam and you still have ammo left over. So by making those changes, I feel like that would bring the weapon a little bit more in line with the other ones while still making it good. You still have the good fire rate, you still have the high damage, and yeah, it's still going to be a good weapon that gets used but it's just not going to be as strong as it currently is. And again, as I stated earlier, I feel like it's a better way of balancing out the weapon because you can still use it, in PvE situations, which this game is. Inevitably there's going to be a situation where you're in a fight with another team, or you're trying to kill, some zombies and you get rushed by a group of zombies and you need to kill them quickly because another team's coming up on you, et cetera, et cetera. There's various scenarios that can play out where you need to have a weapon that you can use to kill the zombies with and still be able to, have it ready to go to kill other players as well, other than, just a melee weapon. So balancing out, making sure to keep the weapons balanced to the point where they can be used in PvP as well as PvE, in my opinion, is really kind of what a lot of the focus should be, and they're not really doing that, in my opinion. Another thing to think about, when you look at a lot of the other pistols, they to really maximize their potential at the closer range, they need fanning. You look at the uppercut. It's a strong weapon at range, but it's vulnerable up close because of its low fire rate until you have fanning, which then you sacrifice a little bit of accuracy for that fire rate, but still, fanning with the uppercut makes the uppercut an extremely deadly weapon. And then the other pistols as well, all the other, revolvers need, fanning to really maximize their potential at closer range, whereas the Dulch doesn't need any kind of perk whatsoever. It's just good from the start when you buy it. So that's another thing to look at balance-wise is, maybe add, an extended mag perk to the Dulch or something like that if you want to have it with its full 10 rounds, or, if you want to get a better reload, faster reload animation on the Dulch, have a perk for that, something else to bring it in line with the other weapons. There's other ways of looking at balancing it out besides just limiting the ammo pool. So, you're restricting its use to basically just a PvP weapon, essentially. So beyond that, what are some other ways that we could look at making it so these weapons are usable and viable, but still in balance with the game, and not make it so that they're in every single game and everyone runs into someone with an Optimat or an Auto 5 or a Dulch or a Nitro, et cetera, and they just keep dying all the time? Well, one of the things they could do with the new weapon looting system or weapon swapping system, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be coming into the game, is they could make it so that these weapons, the Dulch, the uppercut, or not the uppercut, the Dulch, the Auto 5, the Optimat, and the Nitro, are just weapons that potentially spawn in the world. They just spawn in the map. And you find them, you drop your primary weapon, you pick those up, or your secondary weapon or whatever, and you pick those up and you just use those in that specific game. And so by doing that, you limit the overall potential of how many people can use those weapons. You're not going to have, every team in there, at high ranks. You're not going to run into every team with an Optimat or every team with a Crown and King, et cetera. You're limiting it so that there's, maybe one of each weapon, or maybe only one of any of those weapons out on the map at any given time. And someone has to find them before they're even used. So someone might not, they could be in the map and no one even finds them, and so no one runs into them. So that's an option that you could do, and then you can make it so that either the weapons are only found on the map and they can only be used in that specific game. So let's say you find one of those weapons. Let's say you find an Optimat out there, and you go through and you kill everyone and you kill the boss and you extract. And so what happens? What could happen is you don't extract with that weapon. Like maybe it automatically sells that weapon, so whatever value they set for it, you would get that in money as bonus money on top of what you'd get for extracting with the bounty and whatever you earn during that game. So just another idea to throw out there of how these weapons can be in the game, but limiting some of the problems, because one of the biggest complaints that people are having is that they're just running into multiple teams all the time with these weapons. And so by making them world spawn weapons, you can keep them back at their quote-unquote overpowered levels, that they were before they changed anything with any of these weapons, and make it so that they're only found on the world map. So that's a potential idea as well. And then in the future, well, you know, they're still, I guess, working on this nightmare mode. They could also make it so that these weapons are just locked into nightmare mode. You know, they're weapons that have to be used at that high ranked and can only be used in the nightmare, you know, difficulty. You know, that's another way that they could potentially be balanced out. So, those are just some ideas that I had of ways that these weapons could still be used, still be kept in the game, and balanced out a little bit more, so that, you know, not everyone's running into someone, not everyone's seeing them all the time, make them rarer, but also still more valuable. The only other thing they talk about in this is they're going to make the crossbows do a little bit more damage, and they're going to nerf the machete so that the machete doesn't do quite as much damage. So other than that, that's pretty much it as far as what they're talking about with balancing. Alright, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Appreciate you guys checking out the video. Really appreciate everyone who's continued to stay subbed to the channel. I know it's been a while since I've been able to really put out any kind of Hunt Showdown content, so appreciate you guys sticking with me and sticking with the channel. If you're interested in watching the unedited version of this dev blog stream, I'm going to post the link to the YouTube video down below in the description. If you want to continue this discussion, feel free to use the comments. You can feel free to bring this discussion to my Discord if you want to, and discuss any of the balance changes, your opinions on the balance changes, your opinions on my opinions of the balance changes, etc., etc. You know, again, feel free to use the comments below or bring that to the Discord. The link for my Discord is going to be down in the description as well, and that's open for anyone to come and join. Other than that, again, yeah, thanks very much for hanging out, guys. Thanks for checking out the video. You can follow me at Twitter, at JohnMatrix69 if you'd like to, and I do some live streaming over at twitch.tv/JohnMatrix69. I am a variety streamer, but I do stream some Hunt Showdown, and there's going to be a lot of Call of Duty Blackout coming up when that Battle Royale comes out. So yeah, if you're interested in watching any of that, feel free to follow me over on the stream for Hunt Showdown stuff, and as well as other variety stuff. But anyway, again, thank you guys very much. Really appreciate all your support, and we'll see you guys in the next one.